On today's show.
What's the starters?
Ibaka and Johnson throw hands, the Blazers upset Westbrook, and KD zeroes in on 20,000 points.
In London, I asked Commissioner Silver if the All-Star Draft will be televised.
And Trey and Lee go head-to-head in a special Euro-themed edition of Crossfire.
It's Wednesday, January 10th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. Whether you're joining us live right now on NBA TV, watching later on YouTube, listening to the podcast, doesn't matter, we're happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and joining us live, once again, from London, England, it's Tass Mellis.
What's going on, guys? I got us a gift.
Oh, an apron.
An NBA apron I stole while Rip Hamilton and Cedric Maxwell were cooking a beef Wellington. I apologize, Mark Kosick. I owe you an apron.
All right, we'll bring that back. We'll put it on the set. All right, back here
No
in
doubt.
studio to my right, it's the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friends.
Lily, and last, certainly not least, over yonder, that is the bearded one. That's Trey Kirby.
Hey,
yo! TK, what's up, my man?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at hashtag the starters. And guys, Tass, obviously in London, just a quick 8-hour flight from Atlanta, or nearly 3,300 miles around the globe if you're flying from Boston. If you're wondering why that matters, well, just take a look.
You flew halfway around the world now. Do you think he still believes that the Earth is flat?
I definitely think Kyrie still thinks the world is flat.
This brings us to today's question, which is a poll up on our Twitter page at the starters. Does Kyrie Irving still think the Earth is flat despite flying around the globe to play basketball? I voted yes because I really like woke Kyrie, but Tass, you were there. You got any insight on this?
I heard it from the source. Stay tuned till the end of the show to find the answer directly from Kyrie.
Wow.
Perfect. Get your votes in. We'll see the answer a little bit later. Check your results too. Should be fun.
Tease there, Tass. We also have Tass's interview with Commissioner Adam Silver from London. We'll show you that later in the show. We got a special Euro-themed edition of Crossfire. It's Trey versus Lee, and we've got Lee's VSP. So we got an action-packed show here, but let's start with a little Is This News? Trey has rounded up some recent NBA headlines. He's going to pitch them to us here in studio, as well as Tass, again, live from London, England. So what's our first headline?
First headline is from NBA.com, and it says, Serge Ibaka and James Johnson each suspended 1 game for throwing punches. Is this news?
This is expected news, I think, after we saw the game last night. They got into a little tussle there. There was a brief exchange, and both guys sort of flung their arm at the other guy.
Punches were thrown.
Punches were thrown.
And which is pretty rare when it comes to an NBA brouhaha.
It's very rare, but when they are thrown, often you see a 1-game suspension. So I think the league got this one right. They dealt with it. Both guys kind of knew something had happened there, but before everyone else could come in and separate them, they kind of stopped throwing punches at each other.
Right.
So I think I don't think anyone really would have a problem. They both were as guilty as each other, I think, in that instance, and got a 1 game each for it.
This was a bad look for, specifically to me, Serge Ibaka. And I saw Doug Smith, Raptors beat writer, talk about this in a column. You know, disappointed a little bit in Ibaka, because if anyone should know that if this happens, the last thing you can do is throw the punch. I mean, like, he sort of got goaded into that confrontation, and then he throws the punch, and he hurt his team twice. He hurt his team, I think, the Raptors last night's game, where it would have helped to have him in the fourth quarter there down the stretch. This game was a crazy game.
Yeah.
A lot of baskets at the rim for the Heat, and especially the game winner, and we can show you that in a second. And then it also hurts the Raptors because now he loses a game on Thursday night in a nationally televised TNT game against the Cavs.
Right.
Lowry may not be playing in that one with the butt problems that he's got there after hurting his tailbone, and maybe now no Serge Ibaka, so he sort of hurts his team. Last night, they come up with the L, and possibly on Thursday. And I know you're caught up in the heat of the battle there, and James Johnson, blood sport, MMA guy, and Serge Ibaka's a tough guy, don't get me wrong, but you can't throw that punch.
Jeremiah Jensen, a sports broadcaster in Utah, tweeted that James Johnson's second-degree black belt is 7-0 in MMA fights and 20-0 as a kickboxer. So Serge got away pretty lightly, I think.
Yeah, well, he was fine. I mean, Taz, is this news to you here, especially as a Raptors fan?
I love it as a Raptors fan. I've sat up in those seats and cheered on Charles Oakley and every rough and tumble guy on that floor, and I'm happy to have one. I mean, we would go into the postseason as Raptors fans and watch this team kind of struggle and play sort of basketball and think, we need a tough guy. And Serge Ibaka is a tough guy. He's one of those, this was one of those altercations where both guys would throw down. You know, quite often you see an NBA little fracas, and you think, oh, these guys don't really want to go, but both these guys want to go. As Lee mentioned, this guy could enter the cruiserweight division in the UFC, no problem. And up against Serge Ibaka, who unfortunately not only suspended this one game, as you mentioned, Skeets, but was suspended in late December for a little bit of an off-court altercation with an assistant coach, apparently, the Toronto Raptors coaching staff. That person wasn't named, but, you know, Serge Ibaka has been suspended a couple times, and I'm okay with it. You know, when it comes down to it, let's see in the postseason, let's bring that little fight against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm already aiming high as a Toronto Raptors fan.
I should add a couple things here, too. DeMar DeRozan and Goran Dragic, they got fined they had a little altercation at the end of the game. Again, this was a great game. Ellington hits a game winner. I think if Serge is in there, maybe they play a little bit better defense at the rim. There was a switch problem there, or a communication problem between OG and Siakam, and they tried to get back, and Ellington scores. But Dragic and DeRozan get fined. I mean, these teams there's a little juice to these two teams going at it.
Yeah.
And the other part is, were you surprised at all that Ibaka only got one game because, you know, not like, 9 months ago, 10 months ago, he got into it with Robin Lopez.
Yeah.
And he got the one-game suspension.
Got a game for that.
Sometimes you see the league go, hey, you just did this not too long ago where you threw a punch,
Yeah.
and we gave you a game there. Well, now we're going to up it to 2.
Yeah, I think again they got this one right. I think
Okay.
if he has another altercation, perhaps they take his history into account. But I think in this case they saw 2 guys, no more. Let's just suspend them and move on from it. And I think everyone can be happy with that.
All right, Trey, what's our next headline?
All right, our next headline is from ClutchPoints.com, and it reads, Russell Westbrook leaves arena without speaking to the media. Is this news?
Not at all to me.
All right, next one.
No, I mean, like, this is the second time in like the week that Westbrook has skipped out on talking to the media. He did it after a Clippers win against the Clippers. He did this. He didn't want to talk to media. We saw Carmelo Anthony earlier this year, didn't want to do it. I'm not saying it's a good
What's
look.
wrong with the media in
I'm
Oklahoma
not saying it's a
City?
good look, but the real story to me is the Thunder losing another home game here, and in pretty, you know, in a rough fashion to the Blazers, who just destroyed them last night in the second half.
Yeah, and Westbrook had a pretty frustrating game himself. He missed 2 free throws, like clanked them. That's something you don't really see from him. Had a lot of turnovers.
No Lillard either.
Exactly,
Yeah.
no Lillard. And this is their 3rd home loss in a row.
Yeah.
The Thunder looked like they were getting back on track. And a win against a team like this, who they're kind of in competition with. Now the Blazers actually leapfrogged them in the standing. So it was a pretty important game. Blazers got hot in the second half. They couldn't miss, and the Thunder, on the other hand, just had a frustrating game. Couldn't hit open shots, and that added up.
The Thunder seem to be one of these teams that play down to their competition. Because even when they were winning like the 14 of the 19 games there, when they sort of bounced back after the slow start, they had some brutal losses to like the Hornets and the Nets and the Mavericks. Again, that's when they were on their winning streak or their winning run here. So this is a bit of a tendency with this squad, and they keep being asked about it. And, you know, their answer is usually, we got to come out with more energy and stuff like that. Maybe Westbrook just got tired of saying that.
He knew that was going to be the same answer tonight. But their defense was what had kept them in it early on in the season. Now that's kind of dropped off a little bit. Their offense has improved, so they just need to find that right balance.
Tass, what do
I
you
think this is news. Russell Westbrook needs to get in front of the cameras and be a leader, because on the floor, they're not playing with energy. Their defense was just lackadaisical. And what does that mean? That means everybody's not hustling, not everyone's not playing together, and your best player doesn't want to face the cameras. I think he just has to show a little bit of leadership. I think that's when you sort of how you galvanize your team. And this team is not galvanized. I think we were just a little too quick to anoint them as, you know, one of the top teams. You know, maybe we were just tired of saying, oh, when's this team going to come around? And finally, when we saw them go 7-3 over a 10-game span, we said, all right, this team is there. But I mean, in those 7 wins, they beat a Rockets team without Chris Paul, and they beat the Raptors. Those were their 2 best wins. As you mentioned, Skeets, they sort of play down to their competition. Your habits are bits of you. That's what a smart man once told me. And Paul George, last year said, I didn't play all that much defense, in so many words, to Royce Young when he said, I'm back to being that defensive figure. Quite often, Russell Westbrook gambles on the defensive end. Carmelo Anthony, not a great defensive player. They are missing Andre Robertson. So I think if you want to develop that chemistry, you want to develop that locker room, face the cameras.
Yeah, they definitely need Robertson back to help shore up the defense, that's for sure. All right, final headline, Trey.
All right, final one is from Bleacher Report. Kevin Durant says, quote, I never envisioned reaching 20,000 points in an NBA career. Is this news?
This should be bigger news, but in the NBA world, it's not really news.
Why should it be bigger news?
It's pretty impressive.
But for a guy who's been scoring baskets since the day he came into the league, we knew he was going to get 20,000.
Look at the list of guys he's joining here. He's not going to, quote unquote, catch LeBron James, who got to 20,000 a little bit younger than Durant, but Durant's going to be there when he scores 25 more points. Kobe, Wilt Chamberlain, and Michael Jordan. These are the 5 guys on the list. I'm just saying that is unbelievable. He's been a scoring machine since he came into the league out of Texas. And it's crazy, but we don't really care about these counting stats in the NBA. It's just not, they do in baseball. We just don't tend to care about it.
The question
The
about
number's
Durant.
too big, and he's still got half his career ahead
Yeah,
of him.
that's the
why.
thing.
Yeah.
The question is whether or not he'll be able to catch Kareem. He only needs 18,000 more, which sounds like a lot. But that's basically only 5 more seasons of him getting 24, 25 a game, and then 5 seasons of him getting 18 or 19 a game. Karl Malone at 37 was getting 23 points a game, and I think Durant's a better scorer. He's got the three-pointer,
Yeah, it's in-
free throw line.
it's in play.
I think that's what the goal should be. So 10 years, let's check in on him, see if he beat Kareem.
Okay, we'll check in 10 years if we're still here. All right. We got to take a break, but when we come back, a Euro-themed edition of Crossfire. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to Crossfire, presented by Tissot. This is a special all-Euro edition of The Fire. We will see who knows more about Euros. Round 1. There are some Europeans in the league who might be undervalued because they're playing with some superstar players. You guys tell me, who is the most underrated Euro? Here we go.
I'm going with Clint Capella from the Houston Rockets for 3 reasons. 1, most people don't even know who Clint Capella is, which is a good place to start with most underrated. 2, most people don't know Clint Capella is leading the league in field goal percentage, 67.2. And 3, people definitely don't know Clint Capella is from Switzerland. Clint Capella sounds like he'd be a country music singer or maybe a professional fisherman, not an NBA center putting up a 14 and 11.
I like Clint Capella. He's a good player, but if you look at the Philadelphia 76ers right now, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons get all the headlines. Their third best player is Dario Saric. What I like about Saric is good shooter, puts up decent numbers, shoots 44% from the field, 13 points, 7 rebounds, does a little bit of everything, got a really high basketball IQ. Since he's come over, there's a lot of hype on this guy. He's living up to expectations. I think that people in Philadelphia look at the other stars. They don't necessarily look at Dario as much as they should.
Both good answers, but I'm Saric, Lee. Round 1 goes to Trey Kirby. Round 2. From little men to big men, everybody's doing it, but there's only one best. Who has the best Euro step in the NBA? Here we go.
You said it, Tass. There's only one best. It's Manu Ginobili. He basically invented the Euro step, and now everyone's out there trying to rip him off. I think Manu really should get paid royalties every time someone else does it. And in fact, when they do it to him on the court, that's basically the Spider-Man meme come to life. Look, Manu has made his life, his career so good because he's been able to adjust and adapt as his body's worn down. Still got the best Euro in the game, though, if you ask me.
Yeah, Manu is the greatest of all time. Hopefully Tass doesn't take away a point because he's not actually European. But I'm going with the guy who's taken it to new places, Giannis Antetokounmpo. A Euro step for him is the entire continent of Europe. He can get to anywhere from inside the three-point line with 2 steps. He's just taking it to a whole new place, and I think that that's why, for me, he's the best Euro stepper in the game right now. He's throwing down dunks off a Euro step. Manu, the best of all time, but it's a new game, really.
Isn't it the gyro step, though, when it's Giannis shooting it?
Isn't it the Argo step when it's Manu doing it?
It was the Euro step, not the Euro player doing the Euro step.
Wow, semantics.
Round number 3. We're all tied up, baby. Get out the vinegar. Push that vinegar. Get out the vinegar. Push the bangers and mash aside. Who is the NBA's fish and chips? Here we go.
Fish and chips always go together, so I'm going with the guys who always go together the most. Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan of the Toronto Raptors. This is their 6th season together, preeminent buddies in the NBA. One's salty like fish. Lowry's got a little bit of an attitude. One's a crowd pleaser like fries. DeMar, he's 2nd in All-Star voting among guards. They also play in the Commonwealth, which I think counts for something. And I have had some great fish and chips in Toronto. Shout out to the one that got away.
Yeah, fish and chips is a simple meal. You don't need to overthink it. They complement each other. That's why I'm going with Russell Westbrook and Steven Adams. An absolutely perfect matchup of these 2 guys.
Who's the chips?
The chips is Steven Adams, the chops, bro. Because he understands his role. You go for the fish, that's your main course of the meal, and then you get the chips on the side, and if they go together perfectly, you get great results. That's why it has to be those 2. They even dress together on Halloween like that. Look, beautiful.
The winner and new
Whoa!
champion, Lee Ellis, because
Yes.
he knows that Manu Ginobili is also Italian, I think.
He is. He's a beautiful man. Ooh. Yeah.
We gotta take a break. When we come back, Tass talks to the commish. Don't go anywhere. You're watching The Starters.
The Starters is brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey, official partner of the NBA.
Oh, we're getting close now. Tomorrow, Thursday on NBA TV, live from London, it's the 76ers versus the Celtics. Coverage begins at 2 p.m. Eastern here on the network. And we, of course, have our correspondent, Foggy London Tass. There he is, Tassie on the other side of the pond. Got the Tower Bridge behind him. Looks like a beautiful night there.
It's gorgeous. It actually was kind of sunny today. The sky was blue. The umbrella was put away into my purse.
Oh, that's very, very nice. Very, very nice. Well, look, you've had a chance to talk to a ton of NBA players since you've been over there, but today you talked to the big cheese, the commissioner, Adam Silver. How'd that go?
I talked to him about a whole lot of things. I took up a lot of his time, but I started it off with the question all NBA fans want to know. Before the season, there was a movement, a change in the way all-star teams were selected. Captains were going to pick teams, create a little bit of drama. The idea, we all thought in the media and as fans, that it was going to be televised. There was a report last month that it wasn't going to be televised. Where is the league at with that? And if it's not going to be televised or you're in the process of thinking about it, what are the sticking points?
This is a new initiative, and so it may develop over time in terms of how the teams are selected. I mean, it began with a conversation I had with Chris Paul where he was injured, didn't participate in the All-Star game last year, but he's also the president of the Players Association. He was the first one to call me and say, we got to fix this. The Players Association, Michelle Roberts, and some people from the league office, we said, what can we do to make it more interesting? Instead of doing East versus West, let's mix it up a bit and let the captains pick teams. So to me, that's a big step. Now, the next point you just raised is, should there be a public selection? Yes, it would be more fun if we had that kind of draft. On the other hand, I recognize that in picking a team to perform in the here and now, it's a little different than drafting. There was a sense from the players that it put them in an impossible position where they're picking one player over another, in part not because they necessarily think that player is better than another player, maybe because they have a personal relationship with the player or they think that player will be a better complement to the players, and that invariably, if they just did it as a pure draft, guys would say, oh, I can't believe such and such was selected before that player. So I would only say it's a big change from where we were, and I think we'll see how this works, and it'll develop over time.
Hopefully we do see it televised. That's the goal, and maybe next year. As you said, it is an
The goal was to improve the All-Star game. That was sort of, cherry on top of the cake.
The postseason. How do you guys view it in the league offices? Do you view it as an experience that runs too long?
From a consumer standpoint, from a fan standpoint, they love it, and the ratings grow over time. I think the other issue, which I don't have a good answer to, is that think of the NCAA tournament. What could be more exciting than a win-or-go-home format? I mean, and that it leads to all kinds of upsets you wouldn't otherwise have. I'm sort of torn. On one hand, I understand from a fan standpoint, you want that excitement. On the other hand, purely from a competitive standpoint, you really do want the best team to win. Maybe one of the things we should be looking at, this has been suggested by a lot of people, is that we should be taking a fresh look at the bracket. In other words, should we be taking the best 16 teams rather than East stays in the East, the West stays in the East? That creates additional travel, and then maybe even we should be reseeding after every round. Now again, that could elongate the series even more if you have to wait for each match, if you have to wait for everyone to finish, in order to reseed. But I think those are all things that we should be looking at.
Final question. Could we have time for a final question?
Yes.
One question.
We have to.
All right, last question.
Well, you and I came all the way to London to do this.
Right. I'm leaving right after this. No, I'm kidding. It seems like resting players has become sort of an issue put on the back burner. The changing of the schedule, allowing for days rest before national TV games, has definitely helped. But it's sort of become commonplace that guys do rest a game here or there. It's sort of knowledge that for a fan that, our guys are resting this game. With the way science has advanced, do you think that that's sort of going to be the case no matter what?
Another great question, and I think that we are very focused on the science there. We don't want to see a player rested on a game in January or February. If you and I could sit here and say, but it increases the likelihood X times that player is going to be healthy in the playoffs, we would say it's worth it. So it's this constant trade-off.
Maybe we got to go to an NFL schedule, 16 games, and that's it.
Everybody's got their own problems, right? Yeah.
That's true. There are issues there. I appreciate the time.
Excellent interview there, Tass, and thanks again to Commissioner Silver for giving us a bit of time. I will say, I'm a little worried there when we go back to that question you were asking Commissioner Silver about whether or not they'll televise the All-Star draft. Am I reading into it, or is he saying we're not doing it this year? What do you think?
I would venture to guess that we will not see it this year. I think one of the things that makes Adam Silver great, though, is that he empathizes with the players. I mean, he understands what they're going through. If there is such a thing as a players commissioner, I think you could call Adam Silver that. I think we might be disappointed in the next month or so. But will it change the All-Star game? I guess that was the sort of the first thing on the plate, and then we'll see where we go from there, guys.
Again, good point. You're probably right. Great work, Tass. We got to take one more break. But when we return, we got Lili's very solid play. And Tass tells us we're going to find out from Kyrie himself about whether or not he still believes the Earth is flat.
Hoping for sudden victory. This is Ellington, drives in, scores with 0.3 of a second left. Wayne Ellington drove baseline, and the Heat have defeated the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, it's still tough to watch. There's a lot of games on tonight. Catch the great endings on Crunch Time. Gets underway at 9 p.m. Eastern on NBA TV. All right, we had a poll going about whether or not you still think Kyrie thinks the Earth is flat, even though he's flown over to London, England for the game tomorrow. Trey, what are the results?
70% of people think, yes, he does still think the Earth is flat. That's what I voted as well. But let's get the real answer from the man himself. Take it away, Kyrie.
Since you've flown halfway around the world, do you still believe the Earth is flat?
I felt like that question was going to come down. And for me, it's not about whether the world is flat, whether the world is round. It's really about just everyone just believing what they want to believe and feeling comfortable with it. I'm not a scientist. I'm not here to tell everyone that this is it. For me, it's just giving everyone a chance to do their own research and find their own knowledge rather than having knowledge just shoved to you.
Find your own knowledge. I agree.
That guy's deep. Tonight's Pick and Play. Pistons Nets. It's on League Pass. The Pistons have lost 5 consecutive road games, but that doesn't stop Trey, Lee, and myself from taking Detroit on the road. Tass likes the Nets at home. They've been playing pretty good basketball. All right, Lee, VSP.
Yeah, a little hot potato here from the Mavs. Watch this one. Everyone sort of gets involved there, bounces around, still going.
This is pretty sloppy, mate.
Yeah, it is. But it's still, that's what I call a very sloppy, solid play.
Can't win them all, Lee. Tass, we will talk to you tomorrow. Again, live from London, England for the game. You got a quote for us?
Yes, I do. Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, 2 of the 4 starters have now interviewed the players commissioner, Adam Silver.
Embrace the night, people.